Derrick Henry said he wants to retire a Raven, and the Ravens are looking to give him his extension. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. We're almost at 4,700, so the goal is possible. Let's jump right into it, though. Derrick Henry, the Baltimore Ravens' #1 running back, their 2-year signing that no Ravens fan really thought we had a true chance of signing going into free agency last year because, the Cowboys were looking to sign a running back, obviously Saquon, AJ Dillon, but Josh Jacobs, Packers running back. There were just so many free agent running backs, Joe Mixon as well. And it was just like, man, I just don't know if Derrick Henry's going to go for, as cheap as he went. But the Ravens ended up getting him, on an extremely inexpensive contract for what he was able to provide. And even though Derrick Henry at this point in his career is, just turned 31, it's going to be 32 at the end of next season, he's still a player that you could absolutely tote the rock with. You look at his statistics of this year, we all watched him as Ravens fans, but 17 games, 325 carries. That's up 45 carries from last year. That's not even including the postseason carries. 1,900 yards. Ravens record of touchdowns in a season, led the NFL in rushing touchdowns with 16. Obviously had 2 more receiving, and he just was an absolute force of nature. He was the guy, the Ravens, especially after the first couple weeks, really after that Raiders game, the Ravens really kind of figured out this guy's pretty good. Like, you got to start feeding him. And he just went out there and he dominated, right? He dominated against the Bills. He dominated against the Cowboys. He dominated late in games, even when it felt like, oh, Derrick Henry's not having a great game, like the Cincinnati Bengals game. Boom, he crack toss left, breaks it, ends the game in overtime, right? Gets the Ravens down to like the 5-yard line. They kick the game-winning field goal walk-off. Derrick Henry is still a star player in the NFL. And the fact that he basically said, no, I want to retire a Raven, and then was talking with, I believe it was Micah Parsons, bring Micah to Baltimore. It's not happening. But he was basically saying like, hey, why don't you take the LaShawn McCoy route, and try and go chase a Super Bowl ring with, the Kansas City Chiefs. And Derrick Henry basically said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He didn't actually say that. He said, no, I'm playing with the quarterback that I've always wanted to play with in Lamar Jackson. But Derrick Henry, quote unquote, is ring chasing with signing with the Ravens. Like, let's not act like the Baltimore Ravens aren't the favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. They are. They're tied with the Chiefs with the best odds in the NFL to win the Super Bowl. And Derrick Henry is a big reason why. Lamar Jackson is the other reason. But Derrick Henry knows, like, I honestly think the best chance for him to win a ring is on the Baltimore Ravens. So not only is he wanting to retire a Raven because he loves the city, he loves, his teammates, he loves Lamar Jackson, he loves playing for him, but also it's a great way to end your career, right? Trying to win a Super Bowl with, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL with Lamar Jackson in one of the most explosive offenses the NFL has ever seen. Going out like that while still being a very productive player, that's the goal. Really, for any, great running back that's lacking, postseason success, right? You want to go to a contending team, but you also want to go to a team where you're still going to be prominent when you still have the ability to do so. It would be one thing if Derrick Henry was getting, 100 carries for 437 yards and 3 touchdowns a year. It's one thing for that guy to go out there and be like, maybe I will sign with the Chiefs, try and get that ring in my last year, but he's not, right? Derrick Henry, knock on wood, if he stays healthy, right, could play another 4 years in the NFL, probably all at a high level. That is the type of athlete, that is the type of body that he has. His physicality is not going anywhere. His speed is not going anywhere. He's just been dominant. So he gets to play a prominent role with the Ravens, and now the Ravens are looking to extend him because they signed him to a 2-year deal. Obviously, they could just keep him on his contract, but I think they want to sign that extension, give him the signing bonus now, and, lock him down for probably, I would assume the Ravens are trying to give him a 2-year extension. So we would have him for another 3 more seasons. I think that's about the timeline for when you want to have Derrick Henry. Now, with that in mind, you have to consider that changes what the Ravens are trying to do with this offense, right? If they do sign Derrick Henry to an extension, that is not only a commitment to running the football, but it's a commitment to a certain style of running the football, right? A little bit more under center, a little bit more, pistol, with Derrick Henry behind Lamar Jackson. Whereas if we had a guy like a Justice Hill, even if it's not, imagine like a really good version of Justice Hill, like a top tier version, whether it's, Saquon, or you have a Christian McCaffrey, right? The top tier guys of kind of they can catch the ball, but they're also fantastic runners. You're going to go, you could still go under center, but you're going to do a little bit less pistol. It's going to be a little bit more shotgun based, and a little bit more read option side to side versus inside outside, which the Ravens do with Derrick Henry, as opposed to Justice Hill. So that type of commitment, that's going to impact how you draft. That's going to impact the type of offensive lineman you get, the type of wide receivers that you're trying to draft, and also the way that you're trying to play defense, right? With Derrick Henry, your goal with running the football, your goal with your offense is chew clock, shrink the possessions in the game, and then your defense is trying to just get stops, right? You don't need to be an explosive turnover defense. It does help. I'm not going to say you don't want turnovers, but right, you look at what the Ravens did with the 2000 Ravens, right? Just run the ball with Jamal Lewis and just play smothering football. The Philadelphia Eagles, a little bit of a different story. Yes, they have Saquon. Yes, they have Jalen Hurts. They can pound the rock and chew a lot of clock. But the Eagles were a wildly explosive rushing attack. Saquon broke, I want to say like 60% of the 50-plus yard runs in the NFL this season. Wildly explosive. Derrick Henry probably had like 20% of them. But extremely explosive run game, right? Their defense, yes, it was smothering, very turnover based, right? They forced, an absurd amount of turnovers in this year's playoffs. It was like 11 turnovers in this year's playoffs, which is like downright insane. But that's the type of defense that they're playing. The Ravens, right? Obviously, you want turnovers, but they're trying to get physical on defense. The type of Ravens defense that they want to play, right? They already have. Now it's time to try and get a little bit more turnovers, right? Whether it's with pass rush or, ball hawk corners or safeties. That's besides the point. But the way that they build their team is now if they get this extension done, but reports are saying they're trying to get it done. And Derrick Henry, like I said, he has said, like, this is where he wants to be. This is where he wants to finish his career. You're making a commitment to building around Lamar and Derrick. Now you got to make a commitment to that style of wide receivers. And when I'm looking at it, I look at who's the wide receiver with the most success with, Derrick Henry. And that's AJ Brown. AJ Brown isn't necessarily, a deep threat. He can go deep. He has had very good deep receptions, including in the Super Bowl, not this most recent one, but 3 years ago. But AJ Brown is a monster in the crosser, very physical wide receiver, right? Hard play action, get him over the middle. And again, that's what Lamar loves to throw. That's what Lamar was most deadly throwing this year. But I'm looking at now in the draft, right, trying to find those physical wide receivers that, again, not only would Derrick Henry be, physically demanding on the defensive backs trying to tackle him, but if all of a sudden you also get a wide receiver, that is physically demanding, it just makes them that much more tired, that much harder to get those tackles, whether it's on the crossing route where you hit the receiver or you run crack toss left and they're trying to make a tackle in space on Derrick Henry. All of that kind of adds up. Right now, our receivers, they're pretty small. They're shifty. Zay Flowers, extremely shifty. Rashad Bateman, pretty shifty as well. But we're looking for that third receiver. And really the only physical receiver that we have is Isaiah Likely. He's fantastic. Very physical. We saw that stiff arm against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He trucks guys. He stiff arms guys. He breaks tackles. That's the type of wide receiver style I think the Ravens are probably going to try and look for. And again, they might not find it this year. Maybe it's next year. Maybe it's the year after that. But I think if they get this extension done, pay attention to what they do in free agency as well, because I think it's a show of, hey, they think this formula works. And I would agree, because I think that they should have gone to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not going to say I think they would have won. I honestly think the Eagles would have beaten us. But this is the type of formula that you need to win. And again, it was only the first year with Derrick Henry. Year 2 could bring even more. So excited to see what happens. But I'm very happy that Derrick Henry wants to be a Raven and that the Ravens want to keep him. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more. Check out yesterday's mock draft. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was my favorite mock draft I've done so far. But thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.